I stood at the gate, staring at the notice taped to it. Red letters, bold and glaring, like something out of a bad nightmare. Pack your things and get off this land in 72 hours, or we'll have you dragged off. It was signed by none other than Diane Wilburn, the president of the Willow Creek Lakeside HOA. A woman who thought she owned this town, thought she ran everything. I stood there holding that paper, my boots planted firmly in the dirt, a cup of coffee in hand, my eyes locked on the paper, trying to hold in my anger. What they didn't know was that I had just finalized the purchase of the very land they thought they controlled. 3 days before they handed me that eviction notice, I bought their clubhouse lease. And now, I was about to turn the tables. I took a deep breath, set my coffee down on the fence, and pulled out my phone. I called my lawyer, the one who had been with me through thick and thin. "Let's triple the rent," I said, and there was a long pause on the other end. "You sure you want to go that hard?" he asked, and I could hear the concern in his voice. "They gave me 72 hours to leave my own ranch," I replied, my voice steady, calm. "Now, I'm giving them 30 days to either pay 3 times more or get the hell off my property." I hung up. I wasn't shaking, wasn't angry, wasn't scared. I had a plan. They thought they could intimidate me, bully me, but they had no idea who they were dealing with. Let me back up a bit, so you understand how I got here. How I ended up in a war with the HOA. I'm Matt Blake, and I inherited Blake Ranch from my grandfather. This land's been in my family for 3 generations, nestled right outside Willow Creek, Texas. It's not flashy, but it's mine. I work the land every day fixing fences, feeding animals, and doing what my granddad taught me. Mind my business, live in peace. But when Diane Wilburn moved in 5 years ago, things started to change. She retired from corporate marketing and decided she was going to rule the Willow Creek Lakeside HOA. Tight lips, tighter attitude. She wasn't about following the rules. She wrote them. Fines for everything. Brown grass? Fined. Wrong trash bin color? Fined. Parking too close to the curb? You get the idea. She was relentless, like she had something to prove. But it wasn't just her. There was Ricky Dawson, my neighbor. Mid-40s, single dad, mechanic. He and I go way back. I helped him fix his busted water line during a winter freeze, and we've been tied ever since. Ricky's the kind of guy who knows everyone, hears everything, and won't back down when something smells off. He told me about Diane's plans, how she wanted to reclaim land she believed the HOA had rights to, land that wasn't hers to take. And that's when I started to get suspicious. I spent weeks researching, pulling every deed and land survey my grandpa kept. I knew I wasn't in the wrong, but Diane didn't care. She was building a case against me, and when that didn't work, she started hitting me with citations. Unauthorized livestock structures. My black iron ranch gate wasn't the right shade of brown. I was getting fines left and right. The worst of it came when she handed me that eviction notice. But Diane didn't know that I had been quietly working on my own plan. See, for months there had been rumors about the owner of the lot where the HOA clubhouse sat. A lot of people thought the owner was retiring and selling off the land. No one took it seriously, except for me. Through a friend in commercial real estate, I formed a holding company called BH Acquisitions. Nobody knew it was me behind it. When that land came up for sale, I bought it. Cash. All legal, all above board. So when I got that eviction notice, I wasn't fazed. I had just become the new landlord of the HOA's precious clubhouse, tennis courts, and parking lot. They never saw it coming. The day after I got the eviction notice, Diane came down to my ranch, clipboard in hand, with 2 HOA board members trailing behind her. I was by my truck, tossing hay in the back when she served me that paper again, demanding I leave in 71 hours now. "Your property violates HOA expansion codes," she said with a smug little grin. "You're a liability to the community." I wiped my hands on a rag and smiled at her. "Appreciate the update," I said calmly. She was looking for a fight, but I wasn't giving her one. Instead, I got in my truck, drove into town, and personally delivered a new lease to the HOA office. Triple the rent, effective immediately. I wasn't going to let her run me off without a fight. When Diane saw the new lease, she lost it. She called an emergency board meeting, tried to stir up panic, but by then it was too late. The residents started asking questions. Diane was losing control, and she didn't know what to do about it. Then came the incident with Aaron. One evening, I was sitting on my porch with Ricky when my phone buzzed. A notification from my property cameras. I pulled up the footage and saw 3 people in black hoodies cutting the fence at my barn. My heart dropped. I tossed my beer aside, jumped in the truck, and sped down the road with Ricky right behind me. We got to the barn just as a couple of my cows were stumbling out through the hole in the fence. I jumped out, shining the spotlight on them. Ricky ran after one of the guys. I reached for the light in the truck, and that's when I froze. The guy Ricky had tackled wasn't some random punk. It was Aaron Mills, Diane's pet secretary. I stared at him. "You're trespassing," I said, my voice cold. "And vandalizing." His face went pale, and he stammered. "She told me to scare you, just scare you." "Who?" Ricky growled. "Let me guess, Diane." Aaron didn't answer, but his silence was enough. I pulled out my phone, snapped a few pictures, and called the sheriff. And that's when things really started to spiral. The next morning, after the sheriff took Aaron in, I was back at my gate when Diane showed up again, dressed like she was headed to a wedding, all prim and proper. She stepped out of her car, looked at me, and said, "You think you're clever." "I know I'm clever," I replied. "You had no right to buy that land without informing the board." "It expired," I said. "Your lease expired, and you didn't renew it. That's not illegal. It's just bad business on your part." And then, the real threat came. It wasn't Diane who I had to worry about Anna Maria, it was Tyler, her son. He was angry, vengeful, and much more dangerous than his mother. Tyler wasn't just trying to control the HOA anymore. He wanted to tear me down, to make sure I didn't have anything left to fight with. The stakes had been raised. Now, it was no longer just about land, it was about the truth, and about keeping the community from being torn apart. What started as a battle over property was now a fight for respect, for justice, and for the future of Willow Creek. So what do you think? Who do you believe is in the right here? Leave a comment below, share your thoughts on what Matt should have done, and let us know your opinions on what justice really looks like in small communities. We want to hear from you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story on Store of Good Stories. If this story touched your heart or made you think, don't forget to hit like and share the video to spread this positive message to more people. And if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the meaningful stories we share every week. Your support is the biggest motivation for Store of Good Stories to keep bringing heartfelt and valuable stories to you. See you in the next video.